Hi, everyone, and welcome back to your English listening home. Today, we're going on a fascinating journey, one that begins in the mountains of Ethiopia and stretches all the way to your morning cup. This is the story of coffee, a drink that has shaped cultures, fueled revolutions, and connected people across the world. Today's video is spoken clearly. It is great for and B1 and B2 learners. But even higher levels can enjoy it too. So listen carefully, repeat if you need, and enjoy the journey. Every minute you listen helps you improve. Don't forget to like this video if you find it helpful. And subscribe to get more videos like this. Now let's begin today's topic. The journey of coffee begins in the highlands of Ethiopia more than 1,000 years ago. Legend says that a young goat herder named Kaldi noticed something unusual about his animals. After eating bright red berries from a certain bush, the goats became energetic, jumping around and refusing to sleep at night. Curious, Kaldi tried the berries himself and felt a similar burst of energy. Word of this strange fruit spread quickly among local monks. The monks first disapproved of the berries, even throwing some into a fire. But the roasted beans produced a rich aroma that caught their attention. They crushed the beans, mixed them with water, and drank the first version of what we now call coffee. This drink helped the monks stay awake during long nights of prayer. From Ethiopia, coffee slowly spread across the Red Sea into Yemen, where it began to grow in importance. At this stage, coffee was not just a drink. It was seen as a source of energy, a gift that could fight sleep and increase focus. The discovery of coffee marked the beginning of a global story that would touch almost every country in the centuries to come. By the 15th century, coffee had firmly taken root in Yemen, especially in the port city of Mocha. Sufi monks used it to stay awake during religious practices, and soon, coffee became a daily ritual in many parts of the Arab world. The Arabs were the first to truly cultivate coffee plants and develop a system of trade. They carefully guarded their coffee trees, refusing to export fertile seeds, which kept control of coffee production in their hands for many years. Coffee houses, known as kahve-khane, began to appear in cities like Mecca, Cairo, and Damascus. These places were not just about drinking coffee. They became centers of conversation, music, poetry, and debate. People called them schools of the wise because so many ideas were exchanged inside. At first, coffee was sometimes controversial. Some religious leaders questioned whether it should be allowed, but its popularity was too strong to stop. Pilgrims visiting Mecca carried stories of this drink back to their own lands, spreading its fame across the Islamic world. The Arabs had transformed coffee from a wild Ethiopian plant into a cultural treasure that was about to spread even further. Coffee traveled from the Arab world into Europe in the 16th and 17th centuries, carried through trade routes connecting Venice, Istanbul, and the wider Mediterranean. At first, Europeans viewed coffee with suspicion, calling it the bitter invention of Satan. In fact, when coffee first arrived in Venice around 1600, some priests demanded it be banned. But Pope Clement VIII, after tasting it, declared it too delicious to forbid. That blessing opened the door for coffee to spread quickly across the continent. By the mid-1600s, coffee houses had appeared in England, France, Austria, and Germany. In England, the first cafe opened in Oxford in 1650, and soon after in London. They were called penny universities, because for the price of 1 penny, people could buy a cup of coffee and join in deep conversations about politics, science, and literature. These coffee houses became hubs of innovation and progress. Famous institutions like the London Stock Exchange and Lloyd's of London actually started inside coffee houses. The drink was no longer just for monks or traders. It was becoming part of daily life in Europe, connected to learning, business, and new ideas. As European nations explored and colonized the world, they also carried coffee with them. The Dutch were the first to break the Arab monopoly on coffee cultivation by secretly transporting live plants to their colonies in Java, Indonesia, during the 1600s. Soon, coffee plantations spread across Asia. The French introduced coffee to the Caribbean, especially to Haiti and Martinique. The Spanish brought it to Central America, while the Portuguese spread it to Brazil. Each colony began to produce large amounts of coffee, which became one of the most valuable global commodities. By the 18th century, coffee was no longer rare. It was becoming a drink for the masses, fueling both workers and intellectuals. But this expansion also had darker sides. Coffee plantations relied heavily on enslaved labor, especially in the Caribbean and Brazil. Millions of people were forced to work in harsh conditions to meet Europe's growing demand. At the same time, coffee helped shape global trade networks, linking Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Americas. It was no longer just a drink. It had become a powerful engine of economy and empire. During the 18th century, Europe entered the Age of Enlightenment, a period of science, philosophy, and revolution. Coffee played a surprising role in this movement. Before coffee, alcohol was a common daily drink in Europe, especially beer and wine. People often consumed these beverages even in the morning. Coffee replaced alcohol as a daytime drink, bringing clarity and focus instead of drowsiness. This change of habit gave rise to what some historians call the Age of Reason in a cup. Coffee houses became meeting points for intellectuals, scientists, and revolutionaries. In France, thinkers like Voltaire and Diderot were regular coffee drinkers, while in America, the Boston Tea Party of 1773 encouraged colonists to switch from tea to coffee as a patriotic choice. Thomas Jefferson later called coffee the favorite drink of the civilized world. By offering energy, focus, and a social setting, coffee became more than a beverage. It became a fuel for ideas, revolutions, and new ways of thinking that shaped the modern world. The 19th century brought massive changes with the Industrial Revolution. Factories, railways, and new machines transformed society, and coffee was at the heart of this transformation. Workers needed energy to keep up with long hours in factories, and coffee became their reliable companion. In many industrial cities, coffee houses were filled not only with thinkers and businessmen, but also with workers starting their day. Coffee's stimulating effects helped people stay alert, productive, and ready for the demanding pace of industrial life. At the same time, new technologies changed how coffee was prepared. In 1822, the first espresso machine was invented in France, though it was perfected in Italy decades later. Canned coffee and instant coffee also appeared in the late 1800s, making it easier for people to drink it anytime, anywhere. By now, coffee had spread to every corner of the world, from the streets of New York to the plantations of Brazil, which became the largest coffee producer. The Industrial Revolution and coffee went hand in hand, shaping a culture of energy, speed, and constant movement. In the 20th century, coffee became more than a daily drink. It became a culture. In Italy, the espresso bar became a central part of city life, offering quick, strong coffee to busy workers. In America, coffee became associated with diners, morning routines, and office life. World War II soldiers drank instant coffee on the battlefield, which made brands like Nescafé world famous. Later, in the 1960s and 70s, specialty coffee shops began to appear, focusing on higher quality beans, roasting methods, and flavors. Then came the global coffeehouse chains, most famously Starbucks, which started in Seattle in 1971. These modern cafes turned coffee into an experience, offering not just a drink, but a place to relax, work, or socialize. The language of coffee expanded too, with words like cappuccino, latte, and macchiato entering everyday vocabulary worldwide. Coffee had transformed from a mysterious berry in Ethiopia into a global symbol of energy, culture, and lifestyle. Today, coffee is one of the most traded commodities on Earth, second only to oil in value. Around 2.25 billion cups are consumed every single day. Brazil, Vietnam, and Colombia are among the largest producers, while countries like Finland and the United States are among the biggest consumers. Coffee culture continues to evolve, with trends like cold brew, nitro coffee, and sustainable farming practices. However, the coffee industry also faces challenges. Climate change threatens coffee-growing regions, as rising temperatures and unpredictable weather affect the delicate plants. Farmers are working on developing more resistant coffee varieties and promoting fair trade to protect both the environment and the people who grow the beans. Looking ahead, coffee will likely remain central to human life, not only as a source of energy, but as a symbol of connection, creativity, and community. From the goats of Ethiopia to the cafes of New York, the journey of coffee is far from over. It is a story still being written in every cup poured today. Well done. That's our topic today. And thanks for listening.